Okay, so let me ask you something before we even start. If I asked 10 people walking down the street how to protect their kidneys, almost all of them would say the same two things. Drink more water, cut back on the salt, and they're not wrong. That's real advice. But honestly, that's maybe a third of the actual picture. And the part that almost nobody talks about is what happens after the sun goes down. Because here's the thing, your kidneys do their heaviest repair work at night, in that window when your blood pressure is supposed to naturally ease off. And what you put in your body in that last hour before bed can either help that repair along or it can quietly get in the way of it. This matters so much more once you're past 60 because kidney trouble doesn't announce itself. There's almost no pain involved. Your kidneys can be losing real function and you would feel completely normal. By the time a blood test finally flags it, you could have already lost a significant chunk of your filtering capacity. And unlike, say, your liver, kidneys don't really grow that back. So I've spent, gosh, a long time now watching this sneak up on people who genuinely thought they were doing everything right. So tonight, I want to walk you through 6 fruits, evening fruits, that actually support that overnight repair process. Some of these will be exactly what you expect. A couple are going to surprise you a bit. And stick around, because at the end I'll give you one simple little drink that combines the best of them into a single glass before bed. But before any of that, I want to say something directly to whoever's watching this feeling like it's already too late for them. It's not. Even once nephrons are gone, you can still slow things down, almost to a standstill in a lot of cases. I've had patients in their 70s keep their numbers flat for years, just by taking the pressure off those filters and actually feeding them what they need. That's really the whole reason I make these videos is I want you around and feeling good way past the age everybody assumes you should be slowing down. Okay, so quick anatomy, and I promise I'll keep this short. Each kidney has roughly 1 million tiny filtering units in it called nephrons. And inside each one, there's this little cluster of blood vessels doing the actual filtering. You're born with every nephron you'll ever have. There's no refill. So really, the whole game after 60 is about protecting the ones that are still working. And there are two things really that wear them down faster than anything else. One is pressure. Every time your blood pressure spikes, it's like running water through a hose that's cranked too tight over and over for years until it scars. The other is this slow internal process called oxidative stress, which, think of it like rust building up inside your cells, the same way a sliced apple turns brown when it's left out. High pressure plus high oxidative stress over time, that's a kidney quietly shedding nephrons. Now here's the piece almost nobody explains to you. Your blood pressure isn't supposed to sit flat all day and night. In a healthy person, it actually dips 10 to 20% while you're sleeping. That dip is the recovery window. That's when the filters finally get a break. And people whose pressure doesn't dip at night, we actually call them non-dippers, tend to lose kidney function noticeably faster. So the whole point of eating the right thing before bed is pretty simple. You want to help that dip happen, cool down the oxidative stress, and importantly, not hand your kidneys a big workload right when they're trying to rest. So let's get into it. Fruit number one, and I'm starting with this one because it genuinely surprises people, is tart cherries. Not the sweet ones you'd put on a sundae, the tart kind. And the reason these matter comes down to a word you may not think about much: uric acid. That's a waste product your kidneys have to clear, and when it builds up too high, it causes real problems. Gout, kidney stones, and there's growing evidence that chronically high uric acid speeds up kidney decline on its own. Tart cherries have actually been shown to help bring uric acid levels down. And, here's the part that fits perfectly into a bedtime routine. Tart cherries are one of the richest natural sources of melatonin out there. So you've got something that's lowering a harmful waste product and nudging your body toward deeper sleep at the same time, right before bed. A small spoonful of unsweetened dried tart cherries, or a splash of the real unsweetened juice cut with a bit of water, about an hour before you turn in, that's the move. Skip anything labeled a cherry cocktail, that's just sugar wearing a costume. Fruit 2 is blueberries, and honestly, this is the one with the strongest research behind it. What gives them that deep color is a compound called anthocyanin. And anthocyanins are some of the most potent antioxidants we know of in food. Remember that rusting process I mentioned? This is exactly what fights it. Diets rich in these berry pigments are consistently linked to lower inflammation and healthier blood vessels. And your kidneys are structurally, basically, a bundle of blood vessels. Protect the vessels, protect the filter. There's a quieter reason blueberries earn a spot at night too. They're naturally low in both potassium and sodium, which makes them friendly even to kidneys already under some strain. Keep that potassium point in the back of your mind, it's going to come up again. A small handful, half a cup or so, plain or stirred into some unsweetened yogurt, frozen or fresh, either works. Number 3, and this is the one that catches people off guard, is pineapple. Pineapple has something no other common fruit really has, an enzyme called bromelain. And bromelain has genuine anti-inflammatory properties. It also seems to ease digestion a bit, which means less load traveling up to the kidneys overnight. On top of that, you're getting a solid dose of vitamin C and other antioxidants. And this surprises people every time. Pineapple is actually lower in potassium than you'd expect from something that tropical and sweet. The catch, and there's always a catch, is sugar. It is one of the sweeter fruits on this list. So keep it to about half a cup of fresh chunks and go fresh or frozen rather than canned, because canned pineapple is basically swimming in syrup, which undoes the whole point of eating it. Quick pause. If this is the first time someone's actually connected the dots for you between your evenings and your kidneys, instead of just repeating drink water, cut salt, do me a favor and hit subscribe. And if there's someone in your life with high blood pressure or diabetes, honestly send this their way, because those two conditions cause the majority of kidney trouble out there, and their doctor probably doesn't have 15 minutes in an office visit to explain any of this. Okay, moving on. Fruit 4 is cranberries, and most people only know these as the thing you drink when a bladder infection is starting. Fair enough, but that's really just scratching the surface. Cranberries contain a specific compound that makes it physically harder for certain bacteria to latch onto the lining of your urinary tract. That's not a folk remedy, that's an actual mechanism. And it matters for kidney health specifically because infections that travel upward from the bladder are one of the real, documented ways otherwise healthy kidneys get damaged over time. Every infection you avoid down there is one less stressor hitting the kidneys up top. They're also loaded with the same antioxidant family we've been talking about. The trick with cranberries is avoiding the sugary cocktail juice, which is essentially soda with a cranberry costume on. Go for unsweetened dried cranberries, just a small spoonful, or pure unsweetened juice with a splash of water. Fruit 5 is strawberries, and they work a lot like blueberries do, with a couple bonuses. They're rich in an antioxidant called ellagic acid, plus a hefty dose of vitamin C. And together, those go straight after the oxidative stress wearing down your filters. They're genuinely anti-inflammatory too, and chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the slow engines that drives kidney decline forward. What I really like about strawberries for nighttime is they're mostly water and fiber, very little sugar, so you get a real antioxidant boost without spiking your blood sugar or feeling heavy right before you lie down. They're reasonable on potassium for most people, though not quite as low as blueberries, so if your kidneys are already compromised, keep the portion modest, maybe half a cup to a cup, sliced on their own, or with a spoon of plain yogurt. And fruit 6, closing this out, is red grapes, specifically the red or purple ones, not the green. The skin is where all the value is. It's rich in resveratrol, which has become one of the most studied compounds in aging research. For your kidneys, resveratrol does two things worth caring about. It calms inflammation, and it helps blood vessels relax and widen a bit, which is exactly what supports that nighttime blood pressure dip we talked about earlier. There's also a small kind of charming bonus. Grapes naturally contain a touch of melatonin, not a sleeping pill amount, but enough to nudge you toward deeper sleep and a healthy nighttime dip really go hand in hand. The caution here is portion. Grapes are sweeter than the others on this list. So about 10 to 15 eaten whole, skin included, is the right evening amount. Freezing them first is a nice trick. They take longer to eat and feel a bit like dessert. Now, before I give you the little recipe I promised, I want to be really clear about something the way I would be in my own office. These fruits are support for kidneys that are healthy or under mild early strain. They are not treatment for kidneys already in serious trouble. If you're noticing swelling in your legs or ankles or around your eyes, foamy or bubbly urine, blood in your urine, a real drop in how much you're urinating, or pain in your back or side below the ribs, please, those are not things to fruit your way out of. That's a call your doctor this week's situation. And if you already carry a kidney disease diagnosis, or you're on dialysis, or you take medication that affects your potassium, run all of this by your own doctor first, especially before adding anything higher in potassium to your diet. Let me tell you about a patient, I'll call her Diane, 68, recently retired, felt totally fine walking into my office. Her labs told a quieter story, though. Her EGFR, that's the number we use to gauge how well the kidneys are filtering, had slipped just into the range where we start paying closer attention. She was stunned, no diabetes, barely drank, always figured kidney issues happened to other people. We didn't reach for a prescription first. We looked at her blood pressure and specifically her evenings. Turned out she had a habit of winding down most nights with pretzels or a bowl of ice cream, right as her kidneys were trying to settle into that recovery window. So we swapped it. Some nights it was blueberries with a few strawberries, other nights a small spoonful of tart cherries or a handful of frozen grapes. She also started a short walk after dinner because moving your body genuinely helps bring blood pressure down. A year later, her EGFR had held steady. It hadn't climbed because, again, kidneys don't regrow what's lost. And I want to be straightforward about that. But it stopped falling, and her blood pressure was the best it had been in years. For a 68-year-old kidney, holding the line like that is a real win. All right, the recipe I promised, I call it the bedtime kidney glass, and it takes about 2 minutes. Into a blender, add a small handful of blueberries, maybe a quarter cup. Toss in 4 or 5 sliced strawberries. Add just a splash of unsweetened tart cherry juice or unsweetened cranberry juice, whichever you have on hand. Pour in about half a cup of plain unsweetened yogurt or kefir, which brings in some probiotics for that gut and kidney connection that's honestly a whole other conversation on its own. Add a little water to loosen it up and blend until smooth. That's the whole thing. Low sugar, low potassium, packed with the exact antioxidants your kidneys want overnight, and it gives you something to reach for instead of the salty snack or the ice cream that used to end your night. If you'd rather skip the blender entirely, a small bowl of blueberries and strawberries with a spoon of yogurt does most of the same job. So here's what I'd actually do starting tonight. Try closing your kitchen a little earlier and make your last bite of the day one of these fruits, instead of something salty or sweet, so your kidneys start their recovery window with less to deal with. Pick one that's probably already in your fridge. Blueberries or strawberries are the easiest place to start, and have a small portion about an hour before bed. If you want the full effect, make the glass. And if you've been diagnosed with kidney disease or you're on any medication that affects potassium, write down one question for your next appointment. Which of these fruits are actually safe with my numbers? Because that one question will tell you exactly where you stand. Now, eating the right fruit at night is one lever, sure, but there's another number, a simple one on a standard blood test, that quietly predicts kidney trouble years before anything else moves, and most doctors won't mention it unless you specifically ask. That's what I want to cover in the next video. What that number is, how to ask for it by name, and what to actually do if yours starts creeping up. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching.